grips? What else do we need to do to gain more momentum?
Okay, so generally, like you said, there has not been a lot of traction in financial inclusion over the years. Some of the problems are social, some are economical, some have to do with the technology that has been deployed. But generally, I think what the CBN is trying to do now is just we look at the strategy, have more people play in the ecosystem, and just generally encourage more collaboration.
Looking at the value chain, if you will, I mean, there's the part where the private sector comes in, the banks, telcos, the last mile. I know there was the shared agent network that was meant to be, a major highlight. To what extent would you say that's helping to drive momentum?
Okay, so that is currently still being worked on. I think the debate is more about collaboration and getting everybody to just play their role properly. I think there's something that's currently going on in the news now about 322 million being transferred to low-income and families that have challenges. I think that is actually a very, very important aspect that can be used to actually deepen financial inclusion. Because what can happen is if the federal government insists today that all transfers will be done electronically, and that everybody who's going to get a transfer would either have to have a BVN or have a national ID. I think that in itself will go a long way. So the question will be, how would all the other players in the ecosystem come together and ensure that that is achievable?
Now, for the players in the ecosystem, does everybody know what their role is and the kind of contribution or how important and significant their contribution is in the entire scenario as well?
So I think everybody knows what their role is. I think the difficulty is there are, like I said, some strong challenges. So in Nigeria, for example, I keep saying education. So today...
that's awareness.
Awareness. So today, NIMS is relaunching their mCash, which is a product that can actually solve the problem of financial inclusion. But how many people actually know about it? How many people have actually used it?
Shouldn't awareness be everybody's responsibility? I mean, if you're a bank, even a fintech, or civil society organization, I think everybody can take on
it actually is. But if we look at where financial inclusion has not grown over the years, it's more of in the north and the informal sector. So how do you get those people to trust the system? How do you educate them? A lot of them might not even believe in using mobile financial services, for example. So it's the government and all the players have to come and ensure that they actually use it, because what's the use of having all the technologies if they're not going to use it?
And for the banks, let's talk about the role of the banks, since I mean that's your sector. Yeah. What are the banks doing now? To what extent would you say the role the banks are playing is helping to deepen financial inclusion? Okay,
so generally the banks, first of all, are driving digital transformation. So in most banks today, you will know that they are pushing payment systems. They are also partnering with a lot of fintechs. So if I mention a few fintechs, I'll say Paystack, Pagar, and a few others.
I know that, sorry about it, these fintechs were meant to actually drive more momentum, as it were. And I'm thinking, it appeared that there was momentum.
Yes, so there
is more fintech guys to come on board.
Yes, there is actually momentum. So if we look at 1.5, for example, now they are giving out credit to people that banks normally can't give out credit. They're using data and algorithms to determine people who would pay using technology that banks currently can't use because of some of the regulations that govern them. So it's one step at a time. I think we're all chipping at it, but I think that to actually reach that last mile, the government, the states, the regulators have to actually come in and enforce. So if you say you want to do transfers to millions of people, what better way than using digital financial services?
Now, the CBN, I mean, is going back to the drawing board and says it's going to take a second look at the national financial inclusion strategy. What would be your recommendations? There's so many challenges that we still have, as bottlenecks. Where would you say the CBN should start?
Okay,
or maybe a different approach to one or two of these challenges?
First of all, I would say KYC.
Know your customer.
Know your customers. How do you entrench knowing the customer? Because if there is somebody who is in the north, in the local area of the north, that doesn't even have an ID card, it's not even in any, doesn't have any digital imprint at the moment.
Footprint as well.
Any digital footprint. How do you get that person and bring that person into the financial system? So that is one of the challenges. Another is cyber security. So can people actually trust that system? Is that system secure enough to allow more people? And then there's the education, which I always say. If you go and meet a guy who is a cattle rearer, for example, how do you convince that guy to get on his phone and do financial services? For him, it's still, I don't know this, I'd rather pay cash.
Some people, no matter what we do, some people will still be left behind.
Well, the whole essence of financial inclusion is getting more people
that's
in.
We're not targeting 100%, I guess.
Exactly. So the target is not 100%. The target, like you said, is 80%. So for every additional person that you bring in, and the truth is, if somebody starts using a digital financial service today, when he has kids, he's going to tell them to use the same thing. So we are actually running against time.